We've helped thousands of students get a band 9 in IELTS Listening, and for the first time ever, we're going to show you how 2 real students improved to a band 9 by changing 3 simple things. Once you understand these 3 simple things, you'll be able to apply them to your IELTS Listening preparation and hopefully get a band 9 too. So let's start off just by you guys telling me a little bit about your background when it comes to the IELTS test. How many times have you done the test? What score are you getting in the listening test?
I've done it twice so far. I got a 7 the first time. I got a 7 the second time as well.
I've done it 3 times and I'm also stuck at 7 and I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, so don't worry, we'll be able to help you today. Give us a little bit of information about what you've done so far to try and improve your IELTS listening. What techniques or strategies, or have you done any preparation?
I've done a few practice tests, but if I'm being honest, I can't quite figure out what it is that I'm doing wrong, because I feel like I'm getting better, but I still got a 7, so I'm not able to quite figure out what's wrong.
That's very, very common. Most students have no idea where they're going wrong, and that's one of the things that we'll be helping you with today. Do you feel similar? Is that a similar approach that you've had?
Yes, I actually tried some practice tests and I also did a lot of research and I watched videos where I could study this, but yet I am stuck on 7. So I don't know what the problem is.
Now let's think about the few times that you've actually done the real test. Think about what happened in the real test. I know that you had no idea why you got a band 7, but try and think about your experience during that test. Did anything happen? Do you think that you have any weaknesses or any explanation for why that might happen? What do you think?
I later realized that I tend to zone out when I'm listening. I'll try to focus on the first paragraph and then I forget what the second paragraph was about, or vice versa. And I think that's where I struggle because I can't remember the first part and then it just turns into a mess in my brain. Yeah. I think that's my issue.
Very, very common. We can help you with that. Don't worry. And yourself?
I don't know if it's because I think slowly or the tape's quite fast. So by the time I put together one sentence, it's already the next sentence. And then I've not paid attention to the next sentence. And then I try to go back and it becomes a mess. I think the speed is something that I need to...
And are you losing whole sentences, or is it you're like some words or a few words in each sentence that you miss and then you end up trying to think about it and then it keeps playing and it just becomes a whole mess again?
Yeah, I think if I'm thinking of the sentence before, because I didn't quite catch the whole thing, they've moved on to the next sentence. And then while I'm still trying to figure that out, I'm not really listening to the next sentence. So then I might hear one word. And then I'm like, wait, what was that? And I try to use context to try to build the rest of that sentence because I didn't hear it. So the speed tends to get me every time.
This is a big problem. Both are issues because when you're learning a language, you can often like play the tape back or if you're listening to materials in a textbook, the people are speaking very slowly and you can replay it and then check the transcript in the book. In real life, if like, for example, if you go to a university lecture, the lecturer is just talking normally and just keeps talking. So that's why the test is that. It's a reflection of real life. People don't care in general that your English isn't your first language, but a very common problem, easy to fix, and we'll fix that today. There are 3 things that all of our students who are in your situation at a band 6, 6.5, 7, who eventually got a 9, there are 3 things that they did. The bad news is you're doing none of those things at the moment. The good news is they're really easy and simple to learn and we can teach you them today. So the very first thing that they all do, and you need to promise me right now that you will start doing this or not do this, don't book the test again until we tell you.
Okay.
A strategy that a lot of students use is just keep doing the test and they use hope as a strategy. Hope is not a strategy, all right? We're going to teach you a strategy that actually works and is a lot less expensive because the test is like $300 or something like this. Don't book the test. We will tell you when you are ready and you will know you are 100% guaranteed to get the test by the end of today. So number 1, don't book the test. Easy. Promise?
Okay,
Noted.
Promise.
What we want to do is get you guys into a position where the next time you do book the test, you know without a shadow of a doubt you are going to get a band 9. So it might seem unlikely that you could sit down on test day and be 100% sure that you're going to get a band 9. How does that happen? Well, that brings us on to the second part of the 3-part strategy, which is identifying exactly where you went wrong on test day. Most students think that they get a low score for listening because they're just, oh, I'm not good at English, or I'm not good at listening, or I just have no idea. What our students following this system do is they understand exactly what their weaknesses are, because that's the first step in turning those weaknesses into strengths and moving towards a band 9. But the key thing to remember is, and this is why it's good to have 2 different students, every student is different. Every student has different weaknesses and strengths. So we can't just give everybody watching one single strategy. What we do instead is we show you how to identify your exact weaknesses that are specific to you, and then we can help you fix them. So that is the next step. So the first step in understanding your weaknesses is using these. So these are Cambridge practice tests. Don't use any other practice tests other than the Cambridge ones. I'm not affiliated with Cambridge in any way. I don't get any money from Cambridge. The only reason I'm suggesting these are the only reliable practice tests. Do not use things that you find on the internet because they're unreliable, and you might get a really high score and be like, I'm ready to do the test, and then you'll fail. Or some of the tests are too difficult, so you'll keep getting a low score and you'll be like, I'm terrible at listening, when you're not really. These are the best fair reflection of your actual ability. So step 1, get lots of these books. Luckily for you, I have them here for you. Step 2 is do 3 real practice tests under exam conditions. Don't cheat. Don't pause the recording and listen back. Don't fix any mistakes at the end. The goal is not at the moment to get a band 9. The goal is to establish what your weaknesses are. What I would like you to do is go away and do 3 of these practice tests under exam conditions, and then come back and we'll look at your mistakes. So while Isha and Priyanka are doing their practice tests, let's think about the possible weaknesses that they might have. So we'll go through this list. It might be specific question types. So every time you get a multiple choice question or a maps question, for example, you get most of them wrong. So it's not that there's a problem with your listening per se, it's just you find that specific question type difficult. Or it could be that you're not following instructions. Many people are very nervous, or they're just not good at focusing on the instructions and they don't do what they say. That can lose you a lot of marks. Or it could be something as simple as spelling. If you spell the word wrong, even though it's technically the correct word, you get 0 points for that word. Or it could be focus. Focus is like a muscle. If you're like me and you're very unfit, you can't just go and run 5 miles without practicing first. Focus is very similar. You have to practice focus. Or it could just be vocabulary. Vocabulary is a big one. If you don't understand the words, you are not going to be able to get the right answers. Or it could be accents. Some people, depends on where you grew up, you might have never heard a native English person or Canadian person or Australian person speak, or someone like me with an Irish accent, and that kind of throws you off and you find it difficult. Or it could be something called connected speech. When native English speakers talk, they connect lots of words together, which can make it very difficult to understand them. So it could be one of those things. Let's have a look at their results and see what their specific weaknesses are. Don't worry, nobody has all of these problems together. Normally it's 1, 2, or at the most 3 big issues. So I've taken this same diagnostic system I teach in this video and I put it into a free 60-page ebook for you. It shows you exactly which of the 8 weaknesses are killing your score, and it shows you step by step exactly how to improve your IELTS listening score. If you want it, all you have to do is just click below in the description and you can download it in seconds. So what I would like you to do now is find the wrong answers. Just go to the back and look for the answer key. So you'll see here. So for each test, it gives you the correct answers.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to get a pen and just circle all the answers that you got wrong. So next, what I would like you to do is analyze your mistakes. So I'd like you to look at the 3 tests that you did, focus in on the mistakes. First, I want you to look and think about, are most of your mistakes in certain areas of the test? So are they at the beginning or generally at the end, or are they scattered all around quite evenly? Have a look at the 3 tests and think about, are they in which parts of the test?
I make the most mistakes in part 4.
Okay.
I also, part 2 and part 3 are also problematic, but part 4 the most.
Okay. So generally towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is usually the second half. So passage 2, 3, and 3, 4 are the reoccurring ones.
Generally towards the end again.
Yes.
But you seem to have more in part 4, and you seem to have more in evenly spread amongst
the
part
second
4
half.
and 3, the second half. Great.
Yes.
Not great, but we now know that where we're going wrong, which is good. What I would also like you to do now is look at the specific types of question. Are there any specific types of question that when you do them, you get either all of them wrong or nearly all of them wrong? It doesn't matter which part of the test.
Mostly multiple choice questions I get wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, all 3 times.
So the good news is we know that multiple choice questions are an issue. That's not a huge problem because we can give you a strategy and we'll give you that, and that will fix that issue. But I'm more interested in why you are getting most of the questions in part 4 wrong. Is it because of the nature of part 4, which is like an academic lecture, or is it another issue? Like, how did you feel when you were doing part 4? Try and reflect and try and remember on what was happening in your brain.
I feel like when I would hear the speech, there would be certain sections, large sections of a sentence that I wouldn't be able to comprehend. I would get fixated on trying to figure out what that was, and then I would move on to the next sentence, which would be the same thing again. A big portion of that sentence would be, well, I'd be lost. I wouldn't be able to catch on to it. And that would keep happening. So, I get overwhelmed by the quantity of it.
Overwhelmed is a good description of it. So it could be vocabulary, could be that you're just not understanding some of the words, because part 4 is the most difficult part, and it's generally where a lot of academic words are in there. But it sounds as if you're not just getting lost because you're like, oh, what does that word mean? It sounds that you're missing whole chunks of sentences.
Yes.
That is normally when, so for example, if I said, do you want to go for a coffee? Do you want to go for a coffee? It sounds like, do you want to go? It sounds like one
big word.
One big, do you want to go?
Yeah.
That is called connected speech. That is an issue for many, many learners. We can easily fix that. We're going to show you how to fix it in a second. But the good news is we've identified your 2, possibly 3. Vocabulary might be an issue. We're also going to help you with that. But I think if we get you a strategy for multiple choice and show you how to fix connected speech, and the technique that we're going to show you today also helps with vocabulary, I think you'll be in a much, much better position. So that's good.
I hope so.
Looking at your mistakes, were there any particular types of question, or thinking back to the real tests that you did, were there any questions that when you see them, you just get totally lost?
I usually get the maps side of the question wrong.
Are you good with maps and directions in general?
No, I'm actually terrible at maps in real life. So
Okay.
I think that's why.
So that's good. It's good when we know that. A lot of people are like that. They just are not good. Like my wife, for example, would get lost in her own home. You know, she's just not good at knowing where to go. Some people are like that. But you can overcome that. We're going to show you how to overcome that. So there's easy ways that we can help you with maps. You'll be traveling all around the world with maps after we show you. So yours are also more towards the end, but they're more scattered. It's not like just part 4 with Priyanka. Yours are some in part 4, some in part 3. A way that you can do this, if you're still not sure, is to look at the actual transcripts. So see here, these are transcripts. So when you're listening to a sentence, there might be 1 or 2 words, probably key words to get the correct answer, that you don't understand. So if you don't understand those words, you don't know the meaning of those words, you've never heard them before, then you won't be able to get the correct answer. Often students are unaware of this because they're under pressure and the test is quite quick. You know, you don't have time to really reflect. But one way you can identify that issue is to look at the actual transcripts, which is written out exactly what the person said in the recording. If there are lots of words you don't understand, we know that vocabulary is your issue.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is just look at the sections where you had wrong answers, and are there any words there?
So they were talking about memory, and they were talking about it in many different ways. So there's episodic memory, semantic memory, memory consolidation, and I just don't really grasp what that means.
So you knew that they were talking about memories,
yes,
but they were talking about very technical, academic, specific words,
exactly,
and then everything would just get
exactly
confused. So now we know the issue is 2 things. 1, you just didn't understand those words, but 2, you haven't developed the confidence in the technique, which is inferring meaning of words from the context, so which means guessing. So we do this all the time, even in our native languages. There might be a word or a new slang word or something like that we've never heard before, or a new phrase. And we don't have to look up the dictionary every time we hear or learn a new word. We can listen to or read the words around it and guess the meaning from context. So we need to teach you how to do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So now that you have completed part 2 of the 3-part system, you understand your weaknesses, we're going to move on to the best part, part 3, which is turning those weaknesses into strengths. So I hope you're enjoying the video so far, but here's the thing. I can't teach you all of my strategies in one YouTube video, and I can't give you personalized one-on-one feedback for your specific problems. If you want that, every strategy, every question type, personal one-on-one feedback, that's in our VIP course. To make it easier for you, I've included a link below in the description that will give you 10% off. But there are limited places available because of the amount of help that we give you. If you want that, click below and get 10% off. So apart from MCQs and maps, your main issues seem to be connected speech and vocabulary. You have a little bit more of a vocabulary issue. You have a little bit more of a connected speech issue. So I'm going to teach you a technique that fixes both. The good news is that you will enjoy yourself while you're doing this technique. We use things that you enjoy listening to improve those 2 things. So it's something called micro listening. What things do you enjoy listening to in English?
I like listening to audiobooks.
Yeah. What kind?
About self-help or science.
Yeah. So let's put self-help / science audiobooks. Good. And yourself?
Pretty much the same. I like audiobooks. I like listening to songs.
Okay.
Does that count? It's not speech.
Songs. We can use songs especially for vocabulary. But what type of audiobooks do you like?
Again, probably self-help.
Okay.
Movies.
Yeah.
Subtitles.
Great. So what we want to do is give you a technique that you will actually do. Because if I give you something really boring, like I give you a big boring grammar book or a big boring list of words and I say learn 10 a day, you're going to do it for the first 2 days. It's like going to the gym. You know, you'll go for the first week and then you'll tail off. But if you are going to be listening to self-help books, movies, listening to songs anyway, we can incorporate that, meaning you're going to do it probably every day and enjoy doing it and improve your English at the same time. A lot of people think that this is not going to help because enjoying things and learning and improving are not normally associated with each other, but it really does work. So the second thing you need to do is make this a habit. So what you can do, think about a time in your day when you absolutely have time, or you do this normally anyway. So for example, some students, they go on a commute every day. So they're listening to a podcast on their way to work and on the way home. Others is like they watch movies or listen to music in the evenings to relax before bed. But it's good to think about the time of day that you're going to do this, and try and lock that in every day, and tell your friends and family, like, this is my IELTS time, because they are normally the people that interrupt this. So it's like your time. When is that for you?
The evening, usually.
Evening, movies and things in the evening, yeah. And you?
I get that alone time when I'm driving. I usually drive an hour to work every day and back. So that's my me time because I'm by myself in the car.
Yeah, don't do it at 100 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is, in the evenings, on your way to work, what you need to do is just listen to whatever you're listening to. And whenever you hear a word, for you, it would be maybe multiple words in a row. Or for you, it would be maybe one unknown word. You're going to either note that if you're driving. You're like, oh, it was in that kind of position. Make a mental note of it.
Yeah.
Or for you, maybe you're watching a movie on your phone. You could just flip out of that and open notes on your phone and note it down. You just need some way of noting when that happens. So you're noting when you don't understand. Then what you need to do is you need to take that part, and this is where the micro listening comes in. Take that sentence. It's best if you do this on a computer or laptop or something like that. So for you, after you find some time in the day when you're not driving, and literally listen to that sentence over and over again. So for connected speech, it's all about just listening to it as many times as it takes. So if you listen to it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, what will happen is you'll start to separate out the words. Use that example again. Imagine you're listening to a movie and the person says, do you wanna go for a coffee? So you're like, do you wanna go for a coffee? Do you wanna go for it? And you, do. So you're going to do, yeah, do you, or do you want to? So you're literally sitting there separating out each word and just keep listening to it. And then it's also good if you can't, don't do it for the end until the end of time. Like if you get to like 7, 8, 9, 10 times, often podcasts, songs, it's very easy to find the actual transcript of it.
Yeah.
So if you're getting to the point where you're getting to diminishing returns, it's not actually helping you, you can check that and be like, oh, that's actually what they said. And if you keep doing that, you will start to become more like a native English speaker, where we understand this intuitively. For you, for vocabulary, you are doing a little bit different. So ID the word. Okay, there's this word that I don't understand in the sentence. Number 2, you listen to the context. So the context could be that sentence or the paragraph, what you're looking for. So listen for context. Because if I said to you, would you put my laptop in my blank so that I can go to the airport? What do you think the blank is?
Bag.
Yeah. Blank is an unknown, but you were able to guess what that meant from the context of the words around it. So in that, if you bring that over. So here we had, today we'll be continuing the series of lectures on memory by focusing on what is called episodic memory and what can happen if this is not working properly. Episodic memory refers to the memory of an event or an episode. So the first part where they're talking about episodic memory, he doesn't explain what he's talking about here. But then the next sentence, episodic memory refers to the memory of an event. You just had to wait a little while, and then he actually defines it. So sometimes they will actually define it, or other times, like the blank, you will have to guess it. So the key is, don't look up the dictionary right away and look up what episodic means, because what we're trying to do is train your brain to naturally guess based on context. It's like every time you hear a new word that you don't understand, you're automatically doing that. So step 3 is guess, and the guess doesn't have to be correct. We're not trying to define the word at the moment. We're really just trying to train your brain to become comfortable with with unknown words and guess what they mean from context. Then check the dictionary. So you'll look up what episodic means. If you guess the meaning and then look it up, it sticks in your brain much more easily. Then what I want you to do is I want you to get a new notebook, add new word to notebook. So literally a physical notebook and a physical pen, and I want you to write that new word down, and beside it, write down the meaning of the word, the pronunciation of that word. You could write synonyms of that word. You could write example sentences of that word. So what you are trying to do is on each page of your new notebook, it will say, for example, episodic, meaning, example sentence. You could have a synonym in there. You could have the pronunciation in there. So after a few weeks of doing this every evening, let's say you do it for 30 minutes, you'll probably learn 5 to 10 new words a day. After weeks, after months, you're going to have a full notebook full of language, full of words you never knew existed before. Then what you do is every week, let's say on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday, you take those words and you review them. And how you review them is, so you have your notebook full of new words, you look at them again, and then you try and use them in sentences. So you could, for example, take that word and make a little story about it, or imagine that I ask you a question about it and try and use it in a sentence. So that repetition and that review sticks it into your brain. So if you do that, not only will your listening vocabulary improve, but your active speaking and writing vocabulary will improve. You exactly the same. Focus more on connected speech, but also do this as well. So I'm about to show you the most important part of this video, but before I do, have you downloaded the PDF? Over 50,000 students have used it to identify their exact problems for free at home without paying any teachers or investing in any courses. Most discover that they've been wasting months doing the wrong things, and that they have wasted hundreds or even thousands of dollars on wasted test fees and courses that don't work. Don't be like them. Click the link below. It's free, no catch. Just download it and improve your score. So we've helped you with these more general listening skills. Let's now help you with the specific question types, so MCQs and maps. When you do a MAPS question, when you do an MCQs question, what strategy do you use?
Like I said, I think kind of slower. So I try to slow the whole process down and do it sentence by sentence, which usually tends to work, other than in cases where I feel like the audio is too quick. That's when I struggle with connected speech, as you mentioned.
Okay, so that might be an issue, because with multiple choice questions, because of their very nature, A, B, C, D, often they will throw in the wrong answer. So they'll say, somebody might be booking a hotel room, and they're like, hey, I just want to book a double room for 3 people. And the correct answer will be, one of the correct answers will be double room. So, but then the person on the end of the line will be, we don't have any doubles. Would 2 singles be okay? So one of the answers will be 2 singles. And then, so you'll hear that. They say, actually, no, I'm with my wife and my child. So could we actually get maybe a queen bed and a sofa bed for my young son? And that's actually the correct answer. So you have to think about all of them together, and jump between that. So trying to do it the way you do it, which is just like breaking it up and focusing on one thing at a time, you're probably hearing the correct answer and just noting that down right away. So when they say, can I book a double room? You're like, double bed, boom, put that down.
You're right.
Okay, so we need to figure that out. Maps. What's your strategy?
So for me, I feel like I tend to forget what they were saying when I was listening to it. So I try to remember parts of it, and then instead I usually end up jumbling it up even further. So I tend to forget what the right answer is in between all of this.
So it's clear that neither of you have any real strategy, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We see this every day, which is students will just go and wing it. They'll just show up. It's a listening test. I just need to listen, look at the questions, give the best answers, and hope for the best. Again, hope is not a strategy. We have a step-by-step strategy for multiple choice questions, and we have a step-by-step strategy for MAPS questions. It's difficult to get these questions wrong if you follow the strategy. So I'm going to share each of those step-by-step strategies with each of you so you can practice at home, but I'm going to put them below in the description for you guys at home if you want them to. But the most important thing is the last principle that I'm going to teach you. So it's called slow and fast practice. So when you were learning how to drive, did your driving instructor take you on to the freeway and say, like, just drive at 100 kilometers an hour?
They tell you like to slowly drive around the area.
Yeah, you
Small
probably started at
streets.
0.
Yes.
And then once you're used to all of the systems, drive at 10 kilometers an hour, then 20, then 30, then 40. If you were thrown in at 100 kilometers an hour, you would crash and you'd be in all sorts of trouble. So when you are practicing these strategies and also identifying mistakes, slow down. Don't try and do everything at a test speed. Doing it at test speed is doing it in 30 minutes. No cheating, no checking, no nothing. So when you're going at full speed, the object is to either identify your mistakes or see if you're ready to do the test. You need to align your goal with what you're trying to do. So how do you know that you're ready to book the test again? Do 2 or 3 tests, and if you're consistently getting the score that you need, you're ready. If you're not consistently getting the score that you need, go back to the system. So if you have a look here, so there's lots of orange here. The next time you do a test, there'll probably be, just a little bit of orange there. And what we want to do is get to the point where we have a clean page. If you got those questions wrong, you go back to the transcript, think about, is this connected speech again, or is it vocabulary? And just keep using that strategy until the page is completely clean. And then you're ready. Don't just, if you get it once, go like, yeah, let's book it.
I'm ready.
Like do it's better to do 2 or 3 practice tests at home for free than to book the tests and hope we can do it. Unless you've just got lots of time and lots of money and you want to burn through that, but it's up to you.